And welcome to another edition of Life Outdoors. I am your host, Chris Ruckling. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. Something a little bit different for you today, and something I'm super excited about because we're going to combine elements of the great outdoors with living history. Something that's very appropriate right now since we're heading into the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. 1776. We're going to take you back to what life was like in the 1770s and the formation of our country and our great government today. And we're going to do that by showing you real life living history. Our guest today is Michael Cecere. He is with the 7th Virginia Regiment of the Continental Line. Michael, welcome to the Hampton Roads Show.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Life Outdoors. Oops. I make mistakes from time to time.
Thank you, Chris.
You are a reenactor. You are an author, a living historian, and you're also a teacher. You've got a lot going on there. Just tell us about yourself.
Well, those are my big tags right there.
Right.
I'm a retired teacher, so I retired. I did my last 4 years in Gloucester High School at the high school there, and I taught up in Northern Virginia for 26 years. But I now live in Williamsburg, the best place to be if you're a Revolutionary War reenactor, as I am. I've been reenacting for 26 years now. Started in 1999. Got a background spot in The Patriot, the Mel Gibson movie. That was an experience. And all this reenacting and has kind of kindled a love for the Revolutionary period. So I've published or written 25 books on the Revolution, mostly about Virginians or Virginia events. And then I branched out with my daughter. 3 of those books I branched out with my daughter Jennifer, and we wrote 3 historical fictions for kids. And so we're really excited for that. We aimed at 4th, 5th grade reading level.
Nice.
And it's a great little story about what it was like to live in Williamsburg during the Revolution.
Witness to the Revolution, also witness to war with your daughter Jennifer. That must have been really special to work on a book like that.
It was super special. There's no way I could have done it without her because I'm a nonfiction guy. I'm a history nuts and bolts guy. She's a fiction specialist. She taught me a lot about writing. We went back and forth on issues, but it was a great collaboration. And I wish there was more we could write together, but we told that whole story, and maybe this will be something else.
So you're into historical fiction, and we're talking about a period in our nation's when our nation was coming together, which was a volatile time under British rule, and you live in Williamsburg, and that's kind of the hotbed for so much great history, and that's what's drawn you to being a reenactor, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Going to Williamsburg and seeing some of the talent there and what they do, the interpreters there, they bring history alive. And I was just so amazed, and I would constantly go, almost every opportunity I had, I would spend some time in Williamsburg. And my wife, she gets the credit for us moving there. She's like, why do we move there? We love being down there so much. And so we were able to pull it off before COVID, and I volunteer there now. I grow tobacco there. I dance. I was dancing last night in the governor's ballroom. That's an evening job. Of course, I sign a lot of books there in the visitor center's gift shop and all. And and then I reenact up and down the East Coast as much as I can.
Okay, so I'm going to show you some footage right now. Well, actually, before we do that, you're dressed in timepiece right now. Talk about your what you're wearing, and you also brought a musket with you too.
I did. I am wearing what we would call an early war uniform for the Revolution for a Virginian. I've got my round hat here. I've got my hunting shirt. Those are 2 of the big telltale signs. I actually have a rifle. It's a little different from a musket.
Right.
Musket's smooth bore. So what I have here is a rifle that became a weapon. It's not meant to be a military weapon. It's meant to be a hunting weapon. But the advantage of a rifle is the accuracy. The disadvantage of a rifle is that it takes longer to load and it doesn't mount a bayonet. And we're talking about a time period where bayonet charges were often decisive in the deciding outcome of a battle.
Hunting rifle, you were hunting redcoats back in the day.
Sure, at some point.
At some point you were.
Yep.
So here's some footage of some of the 7th. These are the militia?
Yes. In this footage, we all were portraying militia. But you do see some guys wearing hunting shirts. A lot are wearing civilian coats. And this is recent. This is a battle we did recently.
Battle of Kempsville. We'll dive deeper into that. So talk about the group itself, the reenactors, how many are in it, and the beauty of what y'all are doing, because you spent a whole weekend living the life of what it would be like growing or living in 1770.
Right. The 7th Virginia, it's one of the largest units on the East Coast, probably in the country in terms of Revolutionary War reenacting. We have over 100 members on our rolls. Now, we rarely ever get that many. We almost had 100 at a Williamsburg event a few years ago. But at this recent event, we had over 60 that turn out over the 2 days. So, which is pretty good for November, because it can get chilly out there too. So these guys are kindred spirits. We're all passionate about history, and we all are very interested in the Revolutionary War, in particular. I can't sum up all the different reasons people do this. I can just really address mine, which is this desire to kind of walk in their footsteps and experience what they went through. And I know we talk about it over the fire. In the evenings, we've got distaff ladies who portray civilian ladies that follow the Army, and they do a lot of sewing. And honestly, this is a little bit out of the time, but they do a lot of cooking for us. Thank goodness. We eat very well in the 7th Virginia. In reality, camp followers didn't necessarily cook for the troops. If they had their children with them, of course they're going to cook for themselves and their family or their children. We've got a cannon. We actually have 2 cannon now. I think about it, with cannon crews. We've got a line company, a rifle company, a light infantry company, and I see it on the screen there, we even have our own in-house opposition, the British. What we call them the 14th Regiment, the Crown Company. So when we need to fight against redcoats, and sometimes it's hard to find redcoats to fight against, we can tap into these guys that are always there to help us out and make our unit better.
Okay, well, I mean, you talked about the redcoats, and you have them, and it just seems like a natural time to just take a quick break and switch gears to the Battle of Kemp's Landing.
Very good.
Right? The skirmish at Kempsville.
Yes.
I mean, we're going to dive deep into some history here with Michael, so stick around for that. You're watching Life Outdoors.
Visit Ocracoke and step into a world where every moment feels like a getaway. Savor fresh seafood straight from the sea, stroll along sun-kissed beaches, and let the gentle breeze carry your cares away. Paddle calm waters, explore hidden trails, and discover the unique stories that make this island unforgettable. Explore a village where the pace is gentle, and every corner holds a story. Whether it's a beach campfire or a quiet walk, Ocracoke offers moments that linger long after you leave. Slow down, you're here. Plan your escape at visitocracokenc.com.
Welcome back to Life Outdoors. I'm your host, Chris Reckling. Life Outdoors is sponsored by Ocracoke Tourism Development Authority. Ocracoke, miles from the mainstream. We are talking about today about history, living history, with Michael Cecere with the 7th Regiment. And Michael, in the first segment, you talked about what it's like to be a reenactor and what got you into it, and the great history that we all love and experience here in Hampton Roads, because this area is a hotbed for great history. Recently, you guys reenacted the Battle of Kemp's Landing.
We did. And what was exciting is we did it on the actual anniversary date, November 15th, 1775. So 250 years ago to the actual day. And we were only about a mile or two away from where it actually happened, too, right on the same road, the Kempsville Road, that connects Great Bridge to Kemp's Landing at the time. So this battle does not usually get reenacted. It's one that gets overlooked. The Battle of Great Bridge is an annual event they do in Chesapeake every year. But this one, since it was a 250th anniversary, we had to do this. And we worked with the Virginia Beach, the folks in Virginia Beach and the Historical Preservation Department. They did a great job. The Parks and Recs did a great job. And it went well.
Okay, so take us back to November 15th, 1775. There's a lot of people out there who are unaware that there was a battle right there in Virginia Beach around Kemp's Landing.
Right.
So set the picture for us, and then we'll jump into y'all's reenactment.
Okay, this is going to be rapid fire here.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, of course, the war starts up in Massachusetts on April 19th. 1775, and that's 600 miles away or so. So we get upset by that, but we're not ready to go to war or anything. Lord Dunmore, our royal governor, flees Williamsburg in June. He goes on board a British warship, and he's trying to raise forces to kind of reestablish his authority. He basically left his authority behind when he fled. He gets some British soldiers from Florida, St. Augustine, to help him out, and they start raiding the southeast portion of Virginia, looking for guns, looking for cannon, looking for gunpowder. And all through October, there's no resistance. He collects something like 77 cannon. That's what one document claims. Loads of gunpowder and lead and muskets and all that. Now, there is a battle late in October in Hampton. That's where the first battle in Virginia takes place, in Hampton. But that was a ship-to-shore battle. 4 British tenders, small ships, were trying to burn down Hampton, and they were stopped. In mid-November, Lord Dunmore, as you see on the screen there, some of those redcoats, he leads a force from Norfolk. He's kind of making Norfolk his base of operation, and he hears that there are some rebels out in Great Bridge. Well, he goes out to Great Bridge with about 100 redcoats and 20 or so Tories, volunteers. He doesn't find any rebels there, but he hears that the militia are in Kempsville, and that's what he does. Is he marches those guys from Great Bridge down over to Kempsville, right down the Kempsville Road. That's what we reenacted, because the militia that's in Kempsville learn that they're coming, and they try to ambush them. And so that's what you're watching right now on the screen there, is the ambush that didn't go so well. It was a kind of a weak ambush. These are militia. These are citizen soldiers. They're not professional soldiers. They have very little experience. And then the redcoats come on down, and they take the first couple of shots. Then I think one redcoat was hit. And then they charge into the woods, and they rout the militia. And that's what's, you just saw, I can see some of our guys have gone down. So we lost about 5 or 6, maybe a handful more soldiers killed on the field, and then a bunch were captured, and several were wounded. And worse than all that is what happened as a result. The morale in Southeast Virginia plummets, because once again, Dunmore, with just a small force, thrashed these rebels, and then Dunmore uses that as his springboard to issue a proclamation offering freedom to any enslaved person of a rebel who comes to fight for him, any enslaved male of a rebel who will fight for him. And hundreds answer the call, and thousands of residents in this area will take a loyalty oath. So Dunmore is establishing a British presence, a strong British presence in Southeast Virginia after Kempsville.
He basically first started out by declaring martial law.
That's right. That was part of the proclamation.
Okay,
Yep, martial law.
And so what does that mean? Well, that means the government has total control. And then the proclamation was,
well,
swear allegiance to me,
right,
or be an enemy of the state.
Exactly. It was an ultimatum. Yeah, you're either with me or you're against me. If you're not with me, you are against me. There's no neutrality here.
And martial law means the government's in control.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And he had written this on November 7th, but he didn't dare issue it because he didn't think he could enforce it.
Right.
But after Kempsville, or Kemp's Landing,
no choice.
He felt a little more confident because it was such a rout. And there we go. He issued it, and it's kind of it's a game changer, but it doesn't last. It doesn't last too long.
Yeah, the British were scrambling here in this country. They were losing control, and Absolutely. This martial law was okay. You're either with us or against us, right. and you at that moment you had a decision to make.
Big decision, right? And because of what happened at Kempsville, thousands. He writes in his letter to London, 3,000 people have taken the oath. 3,000 people, all in this area here, not up in Williamsburg, not up in other parts of Virginia. So he feels like he can enforce this martial law. It's working. But then something happens in early December.
And what's that?
Battle of Great Bridge.
The Battle of Great Bridge. Okay, so you guys go to great lengths to make it historically accurate. You reenacted everything. That's the beauty of what you guys do.
Yeah.
You're living the life
Thank
of
you.
what, and not only that, but it's easier for us to sit here in 2025 and look back and say, well, you can't go with the British. That's ridiculous. But back then, that's just completely different.
I totally agree. Yeah, you have to put yourselves in their shoes, which is what we always try to do as we're reenacting. Try to understand what they're going through at the time, and this helps us. This helps us, including sleeping out at night. You know, I slept overnight there, and I've been in much colder situations and much warmer situations and uncomfortable, and even the misery you feel sometimes doing this, you appreciate, because it's like, wow, I'm only doing this for a weekend. These guys did it for 3 years or God knows how long. You know, one Joseph Plum Martin served, I think, 7 years. He was from Connecticut, grew up as a teenager through the war.
Yeah. Well, you know, hats off to you guys to stage this. This is just a little bit of what you guys do as far as staging. I don't even know is that the correct word? Staging, reenacting.
Well, yeah, we reenact.
You
Yep.
reenact. And you do it for people because there's a message and there's a lesson to be learned.
It's a great way to teach. We're trying to teach the history. Exactly right.
You can just suspend yourself and go back into that time period, and everybody looks great. You know, you just really pull it off.
Thank you. Thank you.
And every step of the way, and it's not just one person; it's the whole regiment. It's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's is that Lord Dunmore there himself or no?
No, that's Captain Leslie. Lord Dunmore is with him. He's probably going to read the proclamation in this scene here. The Captain.
Yeah.
There he is. That's Lord Dunmore right there.
Gosh, what a great Lord Dunmore.
He is wonderful. He's a former Williamsburg employee that knows how to interpret. Yeah. Dave Ponifino, that's my friend Dave.
Yeah, Dave does it well. All right, so we're here with Michael Cecere, author, historian, teacher. We're talking a little bit about reenactment and what it takes. We're going to take a short break here on Life Outdoors, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper on what's ahead in the future and maybe learn more about what it takes to pull this off. Stick around, everybody. You're watching Life Outdoors. Welcome back to Life Outdoors. I'm your host, Chris Reckling, alongside Michael Cecere. Michael Cecere is he's a historian, teacher, and author, and reenactor with the 7th Regiment. Now let's just take it one step further. We mentioned the 7th Regiment, and that's just Revolutionary War. How big is the reenacting world?
Oh, the world itself is huge.
I mean, you were talking so much right there.
Yes, indeed. Well, we've got the Civil War is really the dominant one. They're the kingpin. Although they've shrunk in the last few years. They had their 150th anniversary 10 years ago or so. That was probably their apex. And it's shrunk a little bit. We have taken in a lot of Civil War reenactors who are interested in our 250th anniversary. But I know I have friends who do World War I, World War II. Some of them do French and Indian War, which is before the Revolution. Some of them will do colonial, the Jamestown era. So there's all kinds of ways, and I'm not even thinking about the Boxer Rebellion. And go to the Jamestown Military Through the Ages. A good friend that lived in Chesapeake does Roman. He did Roman Legion, and there are Vikings. You know, my son would be an excellent Viking. Actually, he looks like a Viking. So there's all kinds of things to do, but I've always stuck to just the Revolution because the story is so compelling. I like the social and the military aspects of the American Revolution a lot.
Yeah. Okay, and talk about what you guys are getting out of this, because you're trying to tap into, if you love history, this is a great place to take it to that next level, to live the life. And you are living the life on those weekends. You're outside. There's creature comforts. There's not much there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Talk about what y'all are getting out of it.
You know what? A better understanding. I think that's the easiest way to say this, is that we're striving for a better understanding of what those that came before us that actually went through this, what they went through. Now, we will never replicate the fear. And for the large part, the misery. Although I can tell you, I have been miserable. My feet have been ice cubes at Princeton, or over at the crossing of the Dan. I remember, though, the crossing of the Dan was a miserably cold and uncomfortable event, but it was wonderful because the snow was coming down, and I had the same thought over and over. This is what they must have felt. This is what they must have felt. That's what we aim for. That's what we're trying to do is kind of, I don't know, I suppose, appreciate them by experiencing a little bit of what they went through.
And also learning the history behind what y'all are trying to do and reenacting. Like this right here is a demonstration of maybe war tactics back in 1770.
Right, absolutely. That's one of the things that almost all reenactors that I know will do is that they will dive into this history with a microscope. They want to know the proper orders and how they're given and the proper movements and things like that. So what you're seeing on the screen now are tactics. I think those are probably light tactics, line tactics. I'm not sure which we're seeing right now. But basically, over the course of your reenacting career, you're going to become better and better at it. And so the only way you can do that is by learning more about the past. By reading journals, reading histories, reading letters. The Virginia Gazette. I love reading the Virginia Gazette, which is online. It's all been scanned.
How does somebody get a red coat? How do you get your musket
Right.
and your rifle and all?
Well, there are people that attend bigger events than this called sutlers, who it's kind of like a cottage industry, and they contract out to people who will sew. Some of these guys make their own clothing.
Nice.
Yeah, there's the muskets tend to be mass produced, but my rifle that I have with me today, I built from a kit.
And I love that the women are taking part in this too, and the kids. It's a family affair.
It's very much. It can be a family affair, and
Yeah.
that's very historical too, because
Right.
they're camp followers. There are many camp followers who followed their husbands or sons or fathers into battle. They didn't have any place else to go.
Look at that arrogant bastard.
Lord Dunmore.
Lord Dunmore. And their bayonets. It's a little bit of everything, man. It's just so cool. Okay, let's talk about the future. We got a couple more minutes left. So what's on the horizon there for the 7th and reenacting? Because 250 years ago, we're celebrating the independence.
Yeah, we're only in 1775, and this war lasts until 1783, technically.
Right.
But really, the good stuff goes all the way to 1781. So up next, we'll do the reenactment, the 250th of Great Bridge over in Chesapeake.
Yeah.
Then there'll be a little bit of a pause, kind of a reset, and then 1776 we'll be traveling north. I have every intention to go to New York with a lot of my guys and do the battles up there. I hope to cross the Delaware River on Christmas and do that. They have that reenactment every year, but it'll be special on the 250th of next year. The Trenton, in Princeton, and then 1777. There's even better battles up in New York and in Pennsylvania. So it's going to be quite. It leaves Virginia for a while, but it comes back in 1781 in this area, Portsmouth and Norfolk and all that. In it with a vengeance in 1781. Mm-hmm. So we'll be very, very busy in 2031.
Okay, you know your history. So there's a history lesson in all of this. What is that lesson that you like people to walk away with?
Walking away from what they've seen?
Well, not just what we've seen, but about how this nation was formed and our government, and there's a reason why you guys do this. You want people to think about where we came from and where we're headed, right?
Absolutely. We don't get into the politics as much as I wish we could. It just doesn't lend itself to in reenacting to get under the political aspects of it, but. Showing the tactics and getting people to understand. I struggled with my son for years because he thought he'd watch these things and go, "Dad, it's so silly. Why are you out there fighting like that? You're just standing there." Because that's what they did back then. That's the tactics that they use with the weapons that they have, and it works. It's about discipline and it's about breaking the enemy's ranks and all that. So we're just trying to demonstrate. I guess the takeaway would be a greater appreciation for the Patriots and even the other side and what they went through 250 years ago, what it was like.
Wow, that's well said. And we're going to leave it at that. Michael Cecere, thank you so much for joining us here on Life Outdoors and bringing the world of reenacting to us, because it is done outside. No wars were done inside. That's where the decisions are made, but the real battle is done outdoors. Michael, thank you so much once again for joining us on Life Outdoors.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
And to everyone in the 7th, keep up the good work. We enjoyed every bit of that. And once again, to you guys, the Life Outdoors is now sponsored by Ocracoke Tourism Development Authority. Ocracoke, live your life outdoors. Until next time, don't forget to get outside and enjoy the great outdoors.